is the importance of creativity in the classroom? In order to answer this question, we must first have an understanding of creativity. Creativity is defined as the ability to transcend traditional ideas, roles, patterns, relationships, or the like, and to create meaningful new ideas, forms, methods, and interpretations. But what does creativity mean to you?
I'm Sarah Platt, and creativity to me is allowing oneself freedom and having unique experiences.
I am Samantha, and my definition of creativity is the use of one's abilities to make the world their own and express themselves.
I'm Ashley Simmons, and to me, creativity is the unique way each person's mind operates, how we process information, and engage in the world.
My name is Charla, and to me, creativity is the ability to express individuality and personality.
Now that we have an understanding of what exactly creativity means, we can now address what the importance of creativity is in the classroom by asking these 5 questions. How does creativity promote growth? Is there such a thing as too much creativity? Should teachers ever rein in their students' creativity? And if so, how? What can prevent creativity? And lastly, how do you think teachers balance state standardized testing curriculum requirements and implementing creativity in their lessons?
We cannot properly unveil the importance of creativity without first addressing how creativity can promote growth within the classroom. When it is incorporated into the classroom, creativity can promote growth in many different ways. According to an article by Jennifer Rinkovich titled Creative Teaching: Why It Matters and Where to Begin, creativity not only is conducive to learning, student achievement, and cognitive development, but is also a predictor of academic success. So, the more creativity that is incorporated into the classroom setting, the more likely it is that the children will be successful and even excel in their learning. This is extremely important because all teachers want their students to be successful. It is important to help each one of them in every way possible. The same article goes on to discuss the fact that incorporating and allowing creativity in the classroom makes the content more meaningful to the students than simply learning through rote memory. As emphasized many times throughout Leslie's Learning Through Play, the school systems tend to be more focused on feeding information to students and having them recite it back. However, creativity creates a strong connection to the information that is being presented. It ensures that the subject being taught is more relatable to the students. This means that they are actually learning something and creating understanding as well as meaning rather than simply memorizing. In a study by Wendy Fraser and Kelly Anthony, published in Science Scope, findings were that other than highly creative students, the majority of students reported having a strong dislike for science, mathematics, and social studies. Because of this study, researchers found out that a student's dislike for the subjects diminished significantly if they were taught in a more creative way. This means that by simply incorporating more creativity into their lessons, the teacher can enable students to not only better understand the lessons, but also to become more interested in their lessons. All teachers will come across some students who are disinterested in a certain subject, or even in school as a whole. But if they incorporate creativity into their classrooms, they will be more likely to be able to actively engage their students, allowing for more knowledge to be obtained. creativity also allows and embraces the natural curiosity that children have. If students are allowed the freedom to explore, they will do so on their own, and will learn through their own firsthand experiences, rather than through what they are being told to believe. The response that I received to this question throughout my interviews was that creativity promotes thinking on a higher level, as well as thinking outside of the box. As emphasized throughout Lasley's Learning Through Play, higher level thinking is very important too and promotes learning. In Converging Paths, Michael Hansen discusses that creativity promotes the creation of new and unique ideas, allowing for more diverse viewpoints and more complex outcomes. This would create discussion among the class, creating a deeper understanding of and a stronger connection to the material. The same article goes on to explain that creativity in the classroom prepares students for change and gets them ready to live and thrive in an ever-changing world, preparing them to contribute to the good of society. This is the purpose of educators. So creativity is extremely important in the classroom in order for the students to thrive in their futures.
On our first trek to find the importance of creativity in the classroom, we have discovered its use. Creativity promotes physical, social, and intellectual growth. Now we must journey on to find if there is such a thing as too much creativity. On our journey to find the truth, we interviewed 3 students, 3 teachers, and 3 parents, and asked for their expertise on our burning question. Is there such thing as too much creativity? The consensus from the interviews is, as long as students can use constructive creativity to stay on task and learn new information, and it is not disruptive or harmful to other students' ability to learn, then creativity should be limitless. As future educators, we must distinguish between what is positive creativity and what is negative creativity. But can creativity really be negative or dangerous? According to Dr. Owen of Hall University, he states it's a dangerous thing and it can be destructive as well. Mr. Clark from the Creative Research Journal stated, negative aspects of creativity can be categorized by intent to harm, hinder, harass, destroy, or achieve unfair or undeserved advantage. Preventing negative creativity in a classroom is important to keep students safe and to facilitate a productive learning environment. For example, one student's way to express creativity may be to sing songs about what they are doing. This can be a distraction for other students and disrupt their ability to focus and their ability to learn. It is a teacher's job to redirect this creativity into a more productive outlet. The teacher may allow the student to write lyrics about an activity or concept and then give the student the opportunity to perform their song at a more appropriate time. Thus, the student is able to express their creativity in a more constructive manner. However, not all creativity is negative creativity. We now know creativity is not always a good thing, and that there can be too much creativity if the creativity is distracting. There is no such thing, however, as too much positive creativity in a classroom. According to Education Scotland, creativity improves self-esteem, innovation, and achievement of learners. Students need to channel their creativity with the help of teachers, of course, into a tool to help their educational experiences. Creativity does not have to be without any structure. According to Alex Azam of Educational Leadership, creativity is considered to be a disciplined process that requires skill, knowledge, and control. So creativity can be used for the benefit of education. For example, adding group work to a lesson can be a constructive use of creativity in the classroom. Group work encourages creativity because, according to Alex Azam of Educational Leadership, most original thinking comes from collaboration and through stimulation of others' ideas. Another way to incorporate productive creativity is to consider creativity as productive play. According to Dr. Lasley's Learning Through Play, on page 5, table 1.1, a characteristic of play is listed as a self-directed voice and choice. During play, students has a choice of what they want to do and how they wish to express themselves. Allowing creativity in the classroom creates an environment where students have the choice to convey what they think and the choice as to how they want to make the information they learn meaningful. In short, there is no such thing as too much positive creativity. Being able to be creative in a classroom is playing in a classroom, and according to Dr. Lasley, children learn through play.
It can be a difficult thing to realize that there may need to be a limit on the amount of creativity expressed in the classroom. It is a general thought, however, that creativity should not interfere with time on task in the classroom. The Florida Education Association tells us that the more time on task or engaged time there is in a classroom, the higher the students will achieve. This article also gives some tips on how to maximize this time for learning. To deliver lessons designed to maximize academic learning time, teachers must accurately diagnose each student's knowledge and skill level, prescribe learning tasks appropriate to a student's levels, structure engaging lessons around the learning tasks, and give clear, concise task directions. They must also have substantial teacher-student interaction during the lesson, such as modeling, guiding students as they practice, asking probing questions, and giving corrective feedback. These goals cannot be obtained so easily without the practice of good classroom management. The article also lays groundwork on how to build up to excellent classroom organization. 4 significant classroom management processes promote time on task. 1. Room arrangement. Well-organized room arrangements provide easy student movement and good teacher-student eye contact. Trouble-free traffic patterns reduce distractions and disruptions. In addition, educators whose rooms are rearranged so they have a clear view for all students can easily monitor student engagement and attend to student activities. 2. Rules and procedures. Effective rules and procedures reduce the time spent on disruptions and disciplinary situations. 3. Transitions. Efficient practice transitions help students move in and out of the room smoothly to go to work quickly and at the beginning of class or on to the next learning activity. 4. Preparation and pacing. Doing the hard work of pre-planning and preparing ample activities and materials allows educators to focus on the lesson momentum. Good pacing reduces dead time and keeps students involved and on task. It is important to have these to be the foundation for the lesson. Have the structure in place, and from there you can create space in the lessons that allows for students to explore their creativity. If boundaries are set in place before the lesson begins, students' creativity will be goal-oriented. In the event that students do venture into the dreaded off-task zone, teachers have simple options on how to guide their students back on track. The Responsive Classroom Journal article gives tips for teachers to be successful. They suggest that subtle change in language is sufficient in bringing students back to the engaged mindset. They say when students are doing something harmful to themselves or others, are too far into a mistake to correct themselves, or are too emotional to think reasonably about what they're supposed to be doing, teachers need to redirect them with clear words. Skillfully used redirecting language lets teachers provide wise external control to keep children safe and productive when their self-control is failing them. Redirecting language can be carried out by remembering these three things in instruction. First, the teacher must be direct and specific. Teachers must explain clearly what is expected of the students. They must have a clear idea of the end goal. Second, the teacher must state a redirection as a statement rather than a question. If a student is too far off task, he or she will need a little bit of force to get them back on track. Asking them to perform a certain way gives them a choice. When we rephrase our request as a statement, the choice of getting back to work is removed. Third, the teacher must have some follow-up action if the statement is not received well. This may include changing the seating or some other aspect of the student's environment. However, we must remember that the point is to get the students back on track, not to punish them.
We may want to harness a student's creative flow on occasion. However, we want to do this without stopping the creativity in its tracks. Redirecting is the goal, not preventing. But what prevents creativity? Stephen Turnespede gives us several teacher actions that prevent creativity in his article, Ways Not to Kill Classroom Creativity. We kill creativity when we demonstrate a lesson instead of giving students the opportunity to practice hands-on. Demonstrations can be easily ignored or bore students. When we allow students to explore for themselves, we give them the opportunity to discover new ways to view the topic at hand. Hands-on practice cannot be ignored. Not only that, when something is demonstrated, it is telling students that this is the one right way to do it, instead of letting them use their imagination or creativity to discover their own way to do it. When teachers give praise for neatness and conformity, they send the signal that individuality and anything different is incorrect. We're planting the idea in the minds of children that to be correct, it must be the same as others. If everyone is exactly alike, how can we have creativity, which is all about being unique and individual? When teachers make suggestions instead of ask questions, they kill creativity. Instead of giving an answer, teach problem-solving methods. We want children to grow into resourceful adults that are capable of using their critical thinking skills. We want children to be able to think for themselves, ask questions when in doubt, and become innovators in the future. How capable will they be of doing this if they only learn to listen to what they are told? When asked, it was clear that the recurring thought of the subject amongst teachers, students, and parents was that time stressors and teaching to the test was what prevents creativity in the classroom. In a U.S. News report, The Long Death of Creative Teaching, the Common Core standards are discussed at length as being a major deterrent for creativity in the classroom. The author, David Green, said, "Another student I heard about could comprehend the whole Harry Potter series before she was 11 and read 2 novels a week, yet thinks she sucks at English because she is more nuanced in her thinking than the questions on standardized tests allow. She learned to hate reading. Testing is stressful, even on adults. So, how do we expect children to handle it? When testing time comes around, we see teachers giving their students tips and strategies for studying or for not overloading on stress. Why would it be necessary unless our students are stressed out? Although there is such a thing as good stress, in the case of standardized testing, the type of stress these kids are being placed under is not conducive to being creative or innovative. The curriculum of today's schools revolves heavily around standardized tests. Children grow up knowing that they will be expected to take and pass a required exam in order to move on to the next grade level, and subsequently be considered successful in school. In the article titled Double Think the Creativity Testing Conflict, Yang Zhao tells us that standardized testing rewards the ability to find the correct answer and thus discourages creativity, which is about asking questions and challenging the status quo. While standards are black and white concepts, creativity is not. With that being the case, balancing creativity and standards is balancing two opposite spectrums. Based on this information alone, it's clear that it will take no small amount of effort to make allowances for both standards and creativity in the planning of curriculum. However, if achieved, the rewards would be beneficial for not only students, but society as a whole. With a balance of standards and creativity, an allowance for individuality and learning would also take place. Students are more likely to become entrepreneurs in the future. So, how do teachers go about creating this balance in the classroom? How can they keep the creativity of their students as well as their own intact? In the benefits of equalizing standards and creativity, discovering a balance in instruction, we are told that there are 3 basic components to consider in order to achieve an equilibrium, which includes teacher behavior, learning environment, and instructional strategies. Teachers must have a clear understanding on what creativity means in order to properly implement it into lesson plans. When teachers understand that creativity is multidimensional and not an ability, they can better nurture the concept. The environment in which students are learning must be taken into consideration as well. Freedom is critical for creativity to develop and establish a learning environment conducive to the free flow of thought. And finally, the instructional strategies implemented by teachers must be supportive of and provide an outlet for student creativity. Teachers must tap into their own creativity when planning curriculum and reach outside the box of resources for lesson planning. When interviewing parents and non-education majors, we found that it is considered the role of the teacher to find a way to create this balance. A recurring thought among those interviewed was that students who are more engaged personally in the lesson are more likely to be creative. Teachers themselves agreed that it is possible to achieve a balance of creativity and standards when educators spend the extra time on developing lessons that can inspire creativity in students. A first grade teacher had this to say: there are multiple ways to add creative lessons to the standardized curriculum, and being creative with today's TEKS and state requirements does take a lot of time, but can be done. Teachers can take advantage of technology, allow students to spend additional time on enriching projects, engage a student's imagination by providing opportunities for creative writing, and assign open-ended projects and assignments.
The conclusions of our findings is this. Creativity plays an important role in the classroom. It is necessary for the development of students today and helps them to achieve maximum levels of potential. After analyzing the interviews taken on this subject, we have concluded that creativity should always be encouraged, as long as students are productive, learning, and are expressing their creativity appropriately and safely. If a student's creativity is disruptive, harmful, or gets them off task, it is the teacher's responsibility to redirect the student and remind them of the end goal. All students are unique and learn differently. Creativity allows students to learn in their own way, making it easier for them to stay engaged, retain more information, and express themselves. However, teachers must conform to strict guidelines in education. Therefore, their assignments have too much structure and requirements and are geared towards conformity rather than productivity. Teachers struggle to balance creativity and curriculum and tend to focus on drilling information into students instead of allowing them to make it their own. Teachers should build their lessons around the teach and then incorporate activities into the curriculum that allow for individuality. This allows for creativity in how students learn, but not what they learn.